Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. My name is John Green. I'm the manager of the league-leading AFC Wimbledon Wimbly Womblys. We won one game, and suddenly we went from second to first, and all is well in the world. Today we're taking on Walsall. That doesn't seem real. Judging by their crest, which seems to involve a seagull, perhaps they are by the sea. Perhaps Sal means sea in Old English, and they were a town with a wall. I don't know. Anyway, we got Seb Brown in goal, who saved 2 penalties against Luton Town to send us into the Football League, made this all possible by putting us in FIFA 14. Then we've also got John Green up front. Two men who love each other very much, despite the fact that they haven't been communicating well the last few games. But hopefully whatever's going on at home has been resolved, and all is well between the two of them. So, you're going to call a foul because I just did such a nice job? Thank you. That's fantastic. So we were doing Question Tuesday the last couple of videos, but every now and again you get a single question that's so interesting and important and complicated that it demands its own video. That you think, like, this isn't something that I can answer in 45 seconds or a minute. This is a full 12-minute question. And this has just happened to us here at Wombly headquarters. We've spent the last several minutes talking about this, and now I feel that it demands its own video. The question we received from a Wombly fan was as follows: would you rather eat 10 pine cones or poop 5? Now, the word pine cone was spelled P-I-N-E-C-O-A-N. It's possible that's a different organism than the pine cone that I know and love, which is sort of conically shaped and has a series of pointy ends, many pointy ends. This is a big question, and it's a complicated question. Obviously, I think the way that you answer it says a lot about who you are as a person, says a lot about your values, what's important to you, what kind of life you want to lead, what sort of person you want to be, what you think your obligations are to others, what you think, if anything, is the meaning of suffering. And I want to give it its full importance, but I also want to acknowledge here at the outset that there are lots of right ways to answer the question of whether you'd want to poop 5 pine cones or if you'd rather eat 10. There's lots of, it's one of those questions that has, I'm not going to say that people who disagree with me are bad or anything like that. I think this is a question like many that's open to interpretation, and that thinking people can have disagreements about, and I don't want it to become a wedge issue in the world of the Wombly fan community. I want us to be able to unite, regardless of whether we're the sort of person who would prefer to eat 10 pine cones or the sort of person who would prefer to poop 5. I'm just going to say at the beginning here that, obviously there's more than one kind of pine cone. You could have the sort of fully finished pine cone where all of its sides are out. You can have the sort of early pine cone, where it's still a pretty compact thing. Obviously, I think that when we're talking about pooping 5 pine cones, we have to be talking about undigested pine cones, because otherwise it's no contest. Of course, you'd rather poop 5. You'd rather probably poop 100. So I assume it's an undigested pine cone that's being pooped. And I think for the sake of thinking about this question in as equitable a way as possible, you have to think of it not as a very early pine cone that's still quite compact and almost tubular, but as the full sort of I was offside, dang it, as the full kind of conical pine cone with the there's no nice way to say it, the sharper edges. But then, of course, there's also the question of, are you allowed to season the pine cone for eating? Are you allowed to cook it? I mean, can I put my pine cone on the grill? Can I season it with salt and pepper, and then maybe even soften it up? Oh God, oh crap burger, West Car, dang it. Not my best work, is it, Meredith? Are you disappointed? I know that Wombly fans are just feeling like I could have done better. And, I mean, we're nearing the first half, and I've only begun to plumb the depths of the eat 10, poop 5 question. So I think you have to be able to season your pine cone, but you can't be able to soften it so much that it doesn't hurt a little bit going down. So maybe you can add some peanut butter to it, but I don't think you can like soak it through with salt water or anything so that it becomes kind of a pine coney mush. I think you've got to eat a pine cone essentially. I think you can't change the pine cone so much that it becomes something else. You know, like if you dipped your pine cone in an infinite amount of butter, then it would stop being a pine cone and it would become just sort of like a pie or something. You can't bake it into a pie. I think you have to eat the pine cones. You can't blenderize it or anything like that. I think you got to eat 10 pine cones or poop 5 undigested pine cones. I think that for me, it's mostly about the. I'm going to be very frank in this. Well, if I already haven't been pretty frank. There's not a lot of blood flow down there to your to your rectum, and oh god, everything worked out better than expected. And so it can be very difficult. It can be very difficult for cuts to heal near the end of your digestive tract, if I can say that without. I mean, anyone who's been alarmed by anything so far, you're probably gone. If you were the kind of person who's gonna experience worry about the content of today's Wimbly Wombly video, you've probably already stopped watching. And if you're the kind of person who was looking to watch some good football, you've also probably stopped watching. So we're just left with the hardcore Wimbly Wombly fans and people who are fascinated by the Eat 10 Poop 5 question, which, I mean, that should be several 100,000 people. So I guess my concern would be long-term health consequences related to pooping 5. I worry that the choice to poop 5 in some ways becomes, part of the reason we're not doing well is that our boys are exhausted. We got to bring on Hell's Pels. He's the key for us. But then we've got to protect the health of Bald John Green and other John Green by bringing on Green Eggs and Sheringham, and these boots were made for strutting. So that's what we're going to do here at halftime. I think that's just the right. I know we're losing, but like we also have to think about the future of the club. And the golden child is a huge part of the future of the club. And if he's tired, I mean, look at him. He's only 11 years old. He hasn't even hit puberty yet. If he's tired, we need to get him off as soon as possible. And then Hell's Pels, he's bouncing. He's excited to come on. Hopefully that's going to be the edge we need in fitness to pull out at least some kind of result here. But yeah, I would be worried about long-term health problems arising from pooping 5. Whereas with eating 10, I think it would be horrible, and I think that it would take me several days. But, I think with enough chewing, I could avoid serious injury to my mouth and throat. And the nice thing about, even if I couldn't, the mouth and throat heal pretty well, because there's actually a lot of blood flow. Like if you've ever bit the side of your cheek or flossed after not flossing long enough, you might have noticed that you bleed a crap ton from your mouth. So that's good from a healing perspective. I know it's bad from a blood grosses you out perspective, but I think it's good from a healing perspective. I think pretty much any doctor is going to go. I mean, I'd actually be curious to get a physician's opinion on this. If there's any physicians out there in Wimbly Wombly land, let me know what you think. But I think any doctor would go for Eat 10 over pooping 5, unless we were talking about the very sort of early pine cones, the narrow, dense, almost poop-like in its structure pine cone, because then maybe you could avoid any cuts. But I just think, for me, the choice. From a health perspective, I want to eat 10. From a, kind of getting it over with perspective, I'm not sure that I want to spend the next 3 to 4 weeks of my life eating pine cones, on the other hand, and stressing out about the eating of the pine cones. So from that perspective, I think it's better probably better to just poop 5, because then you can, probably get that over with in 2 or 3 days, and eventually you will heal. They've got treatments for that stuff. But, just, I don't know. This is a difficult, complicated question, like I said, and I don't want to offend those many viewers who will likely disagree with me. That was, by the way, fantastic saves from Seb Brown. But I ultimately come down. Meredith, I don't know, where do you come down on this? I ultimately come down on the side of eating 10 just because I have a profound, I just worry about, the health consequence of pooping 5 more than I worry. And, you know, I'm a hypochondriac, so it's not about pleasure for me, it's about wellness. And so for me, it's eat 10, but I'm interested to know what you think. Oh, Meredith's wondering if there's a time limit. I mean, if there's if there's a 2-day time limit, that does change things a little bit, because then you might want to, you know, it'd be really hard to eat 10 pine cones in 2 days, no doubt about it. You'd go eat. Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm leaning for sure. I just think, like, as much as that's going to suck, it seems less risky, you know? Like, I've had really bad, like, cold sores and cuts in my mouth and stuff, and, like, that stuff heals up pretty quickly, you know? But I'll tell you what, I don't want to do either. Like, one of my big ambitions in life is never to eat or poop a pine cone. In fact, like, now when people say, all the time in interviews, people are like, what's next for you? What are you working on? I'm just going to be like, well, I'll tell you what's not next for me. Pooping a pine cone. Or, for that matter, eating one. That's what I'm really trying to work on right now, is making sure that I don't poop or eat a pine cone. So, like, yeah, like when NPR interviews me about the Fault in Our Stars movie, they're going to say, like, so what's next? What's next in the world of John Green? Are you working on any new books or new video series? And I'll just be like, I'll tell you what I'm working on. Not eating and pooping pine cones. That's a big focus for me right now. Just been so nervous about this because I think they'd both be really bad. I don't think we'd enjoy either of them. I'm very interested to know, though, what you guys feel. Meredith and I both coming down ultimately on the side of eating 10 pine cones rather than pooping 5. But I'm very interested to know what you guys think, the Wimbly Wombly supporters, if you feel differently about this. I'm also interested to know what the official AFC Wimbledon YouTube channel thinks about today's video and whether they want to end our sponsor relationship. Or if they're still cool and if they still like us. Oh, it's a great opportunity. He must score, and he does. He does. Oh, are you kidding me? In the 86th minute. He scores in the loo. He scored with his shoe. Green eggs and Sheringham, he just scored on you. Or alternately, he'd score in a boat. He wouldn't score with a goat. Green eggs and Sheringham, he just scored a goal. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am a great songwriter. Almost as good a lyricist as I am a singer, don't you think, Meredith? All right, we've got 2 minutes to try to take 1 point, turn 1 point into 3. Let's see if we can do it. That's a nice ball. Oh, but he gave up on the run. Oh, but a great, get up. Oh, get up. Oh, don't stop running. Don't give in. Find a way to score. Oh, if you guys don't get 3 points out of this, I'm going to make one of you either eat 10 pine cones or poop 5. The ultimate punishment. I think that would be abuse of my players. I would never do that. I would never do that, Wimbly Womblys. It's a 1-1 draw. It's not a great result, but we came from behind. I'm proud of that. Great goal from Green Eggs and Sheringham there at the end. And Seb Brown had a nice couple saves. So thank you for watching. I hope that you never have to eat or poop a pine cone, my friends. Best wishes.